Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Danger Zone Sports. Sort of live, I guess. Brought to you by My Kitchen. Um, I'm Dr. Rob.
I'm Ned.
It's a pleasure to come to your computer screens tonight, today, tomorrow, whenever you watch
Next
this.
week in the post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Possibly, maybe this will be recovered by an alien race that dominates our homeworld, and they
Well,
will make us
I guess
gods.
it'll be the only relic of their time, so just think about that.
Gods.
Okay.
Um. uh, anyway, we're just here to provide you a little feedback. Ned, why don't you tell them a little about our mission statement, I guess?
All right. Well, we at Danger Zone Sports like to bring some thoughtful analysis to the table about sports, obviously, with a good dash of fun, humor, pop culture references, and stupid challenges.
Maybe I will get punched in the face. I know a lot of people out there would like to see that.
That will probably, let's be honest, probably happen. We want to get a lot of connection through social media with you, the watchers, the listeners, the angry internet commenters. We want Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Vine,
Yeah, because it's not official unless someone's calling me some sort of slur.
Nazi.
Whoa, whoa. My grandpa died in the Holocaust. Fell off a guard tower.
Um, we'll try to get to the different apps. Just try to get your feedback. 'Cause that's what we want. We want to be more of a forum, not just two guys ranting in one of our kitchens. Although if you guys like that, I guess
Yeah.
it's whatever you're into. So this is the first one. We'll see how it goes. We'd like any feedback about just anything we're talking about, the topics, or even the way the show's set up. Anything you can do to help would be great.
Or if you want to challenge me to a fist fight, I may not accept. But yeah,
Yes,
like he was
and
saying, please leave us some comments, things you want to hear, things you want to talk about. Maybe we can get you on the show via some sort of Skype or something. Maybe get you on the speakerphone. But I know there's a lot of people out here who've been, semi-interested in our actual blog. We haven't really updated it much
it's
with
been
our
a
busy,
while.
busy lives.
Yeah,
But I
I did
would like
spin
to,
off.
yeah, the hockey spin-off.
Dump and/or chase. Check it out.
Shameless promotion. Anyway, but yeah, please, if you read our blogs, if you talk to us, just, leave us some kind of feedback, get involved because we want you involved. Danger Zone isn't just me and Ned, it's me and you, seductively. But let's go ahead and start into the show. We're gonna lead off with a little NBA. As many of you watched the finals game five tonight, Spurs took it home, took the last game at San Antonio, which I really say puts them in the driver's seat. Um, Also, we have to point out that after a lot of criticism came his way, Manu Ginobili definitely stepped up,
Huge game.
and I think we can give Greg Popovich a lot of his due for this. Like this guy is. I would say he's up there with the Red Archballs and the Phil Jacksons. Like the guy knows how to manage teams. And they're very humble too. You never hear about a Spurs player holding out. I mean, when the most detrimental player to your team was ever Steven Jackson, I mean, you're doing something
Do a
right.
lot worse. Latrell Sprewell,
Oh,
Stephon Marbury.
God, he chokes more than LeBron. Ah, ah,
But I think, yeah, it was a good move by Pop. This is the first game Manu started the entire season. He hasn't, all regular season, all 82 games, all other 15 or 14 wins the Spurs had up to tonight. He hadn't started at all, and tonight Pop started him amid all the criticism, put him right into the fire, and Manu responded. He had a huge game, 24 points, 10 assists, and he's very efficient shooting, and they were trying to key on him, and when LeBron was covering Parker, Manu made him pay, and I think that's just. And then then they got to focus on that. I mean, Parker poured in 26 himself.
yeah, I mean, not only that, you have to look that. I mean, you have guys like Danny Green and Gary Neal, the hot hands.
Yeah,
I think Kawhi Leonard has done a superb job. Obviously, he's not shutting LeBron down, but he's not giving him open looks, and you definitely see a lot of Green or Kawhi on him. But also, Tim Duncan has been silent but deadly in this series, as he's been his entire career. I mean, up until the playoffs, and when Tim Duncan is in the finals, no one really talks about him. He's very the Peyton Manning of the NBA. You don't really hear much about the Spurs as you did the Colts. and he's putting up solid numbers. He's very consistent. He never really has an off game. But just going back to Manu for a moment, in the last 4 games plus the game 4 of the Grizzlies, he was averaging only 7.2 points off of a 31 field goal percentage through 24 minutes with a 3.6 assist to a 2.6 turnover. So I mean, he wasn't having Manu numbers per se. I mean, as a career, he's only averaging roughly around 15, I believe. But for him to come out after losing game 4, the series tied 2-2, coming out and having this performance, it definitely shows why the Spurs are so deadly. Is because anyone at any point in time can go off and have a good game, and I honestly that's just how the Spurs are. If they can get to this point, solid.
Yeah, even the Spurs bench was quiet tonight, but I guess it's just who they started. They started Duncan, it was Duncan, Parker, Ginobili, Green, and Splitter.
Yes.
And all those guys were in double digits. And Gary Neal led the bench just going with 4 points, but I think he had double digit assists.
Yeah, this is one of the few games where you'll see the Spurs starting 5 really control most of the game because Pop does like to go through his bench, but guys like DeJuan Blair and I'm trying to remember, there was one other player who did not play the entire game.
T-Mac.
Tracy McGrady. Well, Tracy McGrady.
He's played 2 finals games, 15 minutes, no points. Please, Tracy, if you're watching this, score for the love of God. You're the best. You're the best. I love Tracy McGrady.
I mean, he was a great player.
Score in that blowout.
Yeah.
He was playing awesome. He had 3 or 4 rebounds and 3 or 4 assists. Like, stop it. You gotta be selfish, T-Mac. This is your time to shine. Get you those finals points.
All I gotta say is #blowout. Exactly the reason he was in the game. But I mean, we're focusing a little too much on the Spurs. Look at the Heat. The Heat, LeBron shot 8 for 22 tonight for 26 points. He is the superstar of superstars, and he's only making 8 field goals.
Best player in the world.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a stat hound. Like, look at game 1, for instance. The dude pours in a triple-double, they lose, and any other time for any other player, a triple-double would be a career-defining performance in the playoffs. LeBron James does it.
Rajon Rondo last year, exactly, and that's definitely what you become known as. And to the win, and LeBron, it's not fair. And the people on certain networks, on certain television programs
that we will not mention,
they like to just find things to criticize because they need something to talk about.
Yeah,
so
it's more media
has a virtuoso performance. And everyone's Wade and Bosch, and I want the ball more. He gets everyone involved. Then what does he get? He gets slammed.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, you have to wonder. He hasn't really struggled this much in a series since he was with the Cavaliers, and the Spurs did it to him again. Why? Is it just? It's obviously like a perfect. It must be a perfect storm, but why is it? You watch him play, and in Game 4, him and Wade were going off, and I think the reason LeBron went off is because Wade was going off.
Yes, and you can't. The Spurs.
It's the only game he's been like LeBron, Nike, LeBron.
Yeah, the king.
Yeah, exactly. The only time he's been King James. And
it's because the Spurs. One thing you're guaranteed is that you're not going to get many open shots with the Spurs. They play fantastic team defense, and that is what can beat the Heat. If you hold LeBron to a minimum, and he's been held under 20 points, I believe, twice in the series, which is
I think you're right, yeah.
Which is something that it's teams week through week throughout the or not only the playoffs but the regular season struggle to do.
Yeah.
Even look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. They had Kevin Durant guarding him, and then some type of Cephalosha, who is a very underrated defensive player. But my thing is that it's LeBron is doing what he can do with what he's against, but guys like tonight, Norris Cole, Mario Chalmers, Mike Miller, Shane Battier combined for 14 points and 10 rebounds.
It's not good enough. And if the Heat want to win, they gotta have like Birdman versus the Pacers, who would come in and made 9 out of 9 shots. When you come in, you can't come in long. You have to be efficient because when LeBron's off the floor, that team is playing they're playing basically playing their hand down. They're playing with one hand tied behind their back. And if the bench players aren't performing, your starting 5 can't play 48 a night.
You have to imagine at this point, has Eric Spoelstra considered starting Ray Allen over Dwayne Wade to try to get Allen hot quick? Because Allen poured in 21 tonight, and then let Dwayne Wade come off the bench when LeBron comes out for the first time, and then bring LeBron in a little more sooner through his first rest period, and let him play with Wade. Let Wade come off the bench so he can come off fresh, a lot more fresher than the guys guarding him. And maybe that will help, considering he is dealing with, well, Dwayne Wade is constantly dealing with injuries, but to, like, almost in a Manu Ginobili sense, you bypass the ego for wins. If Dwayne Wade comes off the bench, like I said, he's more well rested. He's coming at guys that are not, or have been on the floor a little bit longer. And I mean, Dwayne Wade has the probability of going off at any point, but the fact is he's not going off consistently enough in order to have a real impact other than in the last game.
I see what you're saying, but I think you got to keep starting Wade because his defensive aggressiveness, and I mean, that was part of the reason they blew the Spurs out in Game 4, was Dwayne Wade was all over the place on defense, knocking down passes. He was all up in everybody's face, diving for balls, and Ray Allen, he's a shooter, and especially I'm a Celtics fan. I've been watching the past few years in Boston, and he can't play defense. And you can't sacrifice. And the way the Spurs are playing with those 5 guys, imagine if you see Ray out there, automatically you're going to throw Parker, Ginobili, Danny Green out there, and he's going to have to guard one of them. Mm-hmm. And whoever he's guarding is going to have an advantage because he's old. He's a vet. He's one of the best players ever, one of the best shooters ever played the game, and you can't take that away from him. But somebody once said the NBA is a young man's game, and especially when you're trying to play defense, if you look at the best defenders in the league, they're all young. Avery Bradley, Cephalosha, Ibaka, they're all young guys.
They're young, fast, and they're not as bulky.
And then Allen is just that's never been his game. And
No.
I think it's unfair for Spoelstra to try to throw that responsibility on them. And this series, in particular, I think next year when everybody adds that extra year, especially Wade, the Heat's weak bench is going to become a big problem for them. And you know what? They're probably going to have to restructure some of the guys' deals. And there's the big talk about breaking up the big 3. The thing is, it's got the Heat decide. Do we want how many times we try one with the big 3? Do we want to break them up, still make a deep playoff run? If you have 2 of them, LeBron, obviously, and Bosh or Wade, you can make a deep playoff, and you can win a championship with that. Honestly,
I feel like. Between the big 3, it's hard for them, like we saw in Game 4, them going off as a trio, but you also see how weak their bench is, and it proved against the Mavs in their first season together. Obviously, there wasn't the chemistry that they wanted, as we saw the year next, but I find it hard that Chris Bosh can ever exist on a championship team. I mean, he's a professional. He goes out there and he balls, but the fact is he is too soft. It's because of Roy Hibbert and the Indiana defense. They beat him up, and he's not getting into the post. Like, when your biggest post threat is also your best player, who is also your best distributor, who is also your best player, who is also your best point guard. Like, LeBron, he can't do it all, especially not against the Spurs. Maybe if it was the Grizzlies, maybe the Thunder, maybe the Lakers, maybe any other team, but not the Spurs, who play fantastic team ball. It's just simple as that. Like, LeBron is hands down the best player on the Heat. Like, no one can argue that.
But you think that Bosh needs, the Heat can't win with Bosh because of his lack of a post presence?
He needs to find his backbone. He needs to find it now if they want any chance of winning another championship. Or I would guarantee that out of the big 3, Bosh will probably be the one sent off first, because he's still young enough. His contract's just the same as Dwayne Wade. He's still averaging roughly a double-double. He's like maybe 8 or 9 rebounds, 16 to 19 points. He's not getting what they're expecting out of him. So I think Bosh has the best trade value if you keep LeBron's obviously your core. Any team, LeBron is your core. You ship Bosh off, maybe try to get like a true big man, a post presence. Like, it's going to be difficult.
Well, what about if you trade Wade and you bring in a true presence, a Kendrick Perkins or something, and then Chris Bosh doesn't have to be that guy, and he can be he's got that all around game, that jump shot game, that the reason he was so good in Toronto, and you take a little bit of the responsibility and the pressure off him. He's a little free to do more, and then you can't have guys chase him because now you also protect the paint with this center. And I think you ship Wade off, he's older, which is I understand what you're saying. His trade value is a little less, but I think LeBron and Bosh, you can, and then with the Dwayne Wade's money, if you replace Wade with a good guard, a good two, and then you put another five next to Bosh, other than Udonis Haslam or Joel Anthony.
I mean, I don't see the big three lasting, whether it's them deciding to leave or if it's Pat Riley and Heat Management sending them off. But another thing I want to bring up about this game was Chris Birdman Anderson did not play a single minute tonight.
Really?
Yes, he did not play tonight, and maybe I don't know what's going on injury wise.
Hurt my nose.
It could be that. But I mean, he brings that spark off the bench. He's almost got a Nate Robinson personality. Like the guy comes in, he plays hard for whatever time you give him, whether it's that 12 to like 14 bench player minute, like that 6-man role. But I think Birdman, when he comes into the game, don't get me wrong, I do not enjoy watching Birdman play, but he sparks the second squad, and then he also works well with their starters. So, and he's able to be there for the big man presence. And I think obviously you're not going to get under Tim Duncan's skin, but guys like Boris Diaw, Thiago Splitter, like they're big men backups. I think Chris Birdman Anderson would be fantastic playing on them because he's not afraid to, get in their face, to, try to make the big play. He's not afraid to fail, which a lot of superstars, I think there is a little regression on that, is because they don't want to look bad on the biggest stage in front of all these people. Where Birdman, he doesn't care. He just wants to.
Duncan doesn't. Duncan's gotten blocked so many times this series, and he always says that same expression.
Tim Duncan is the consummate professional, but but I really think Spoelstra needs to play more with Birdman. He needs to get him in there, and tonight they started. We had Bosh at center, we had LeBron, then they started Mike Miller, Dwayne Wade, and Mario Chalmers. They ran a 3-guard set with LeBron, and I mean, it makes sense if you make LeBron your ball handler, you spread the floor, but there's no paint presence. Birdman may not be your greatest paint presence, but at least he's something, because Bosh is not going anywhere near that paint, especially with Splitter. And Diaw, for instance, he hasn't put up superstar numbers, but for the time
in the league. Boris Diaw is still in the league.
But for the time he's played, he's chipped in. He's hasn't stuffed the stat sheet, but he's gotten valuable rebounds, assists, and he's just providing. He's fast enough to at least trail LeBron, but he's got the length. He can rebound like no one else. But they really need to start utilizing Birdman more, or else, the rebound game tonight was pretty even, which is surprising. I think the Heat have actually done a fantastic job of rebounding this series, especially against the Spurs.
Oof.
Yeah, Indiana
Abused them.
But it's definitely, I would say the Spurs are in the driver's seat for this. They are going back to Miami, which many people would think is,
They just got to win one game though. They just have to split Miami.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you're this good, when they've beaten them 3 times, what's one more time?
Exactly. And they took game 1 away, and that is a huge deal. It not only proves that they can win there, but it shows Miami that they can win there. And I feel like that is a bigger step. But I don't see the Spurs winning game 6, but game 7. Absolutely.
I think they win. I think they win game 6.
See, I would have to disagree. This has been, as many people have said, a prize fight. Each one is sending a hard blow while the other one's, not even blocking.
Yeah.
None of these games have been that close. It may look close on the scoreboard, but not that close.
That's what I mean. I think the Heat, every time they try it, and the thing is, the Spurs, when they got blown out, okay, they got blown out in game 2, absolutely, and they blew the Heat out in game 3, right back, punched them right back. In game 4, even though the Heat blew it out, it wasn't like the Spurs were playing terrible the first 3 quarters, and we're only down 5, so it was just inevitable. I think they realized that, and they come back and just knock Miami in the teeth, and they just gotta go down there, and then I think they know they gotta take care of business, and they got to win soon because, as Parker said, my hamstring could tear at any time. I think the Spurs have that extra sense of urgency where, let's just get it done now. Let's leave no doubt. Let's not give LeBron the chance for the Game 7 narrative.
That's very true.
And let's just end it. And because a motivated LeBron is a dangerous LeBron, and you don't want to. And he's going to be motivated for Game 6. Obviously, he's a competitor, but you don't want to give him that extra, that intangible for Game 7.
I mean, Game 7's the last game of the year, Brent. Can't hold anything back.
That's true.
I mean, you have Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili are both getting up in age. They're leaving it all on the floor. Game 7, Game 6. I mean, they have nothing to lose. Parker does have a few more years in the league, and if I'm Tim Duncan, I walk out with a handful of rings. What more can I do at my age? And Ginobili, he's been playing a long time, not just in the NBA. He's old in basketball years. And, I mean, eventually he's going to have to walk away, and there's been reports that he was contemplating retirement. And, I mean, if they walk out as champions, you can't blame either of those men for going out on top.
I think if the Spurs win, Duncan definitely retires, and Ginobili might be right out the door behind him, just right after the sunset.
Might as well, I mean, with the careers both of those men have had, Manu Ginobili has probably been one of the greatest X factors in the league history. Like, the guy's come off the bench.
The perfect six-man.
Yeah. And not only that, like, he's any other player as a shooting guard who played his minutes, played his role on that team as a starter, as a bench player, as a sixth man. There's so much ego in the NBA nowadays. Not many players would do that, especially... Not many people understand a shooting guard is probably one of the best shooters on the floor outside of your Kevin Durant's, your LeBron. Well, you wouldn't even. Well,
They're combo guards.
Yeah. But shooting guards are, on average, like your best offensive player. Except, I mean, if you look at a Celtics sense, where Avery Bradley's probably one of their better defensive players. But he's also. But I mean, Manu Ginobili, he's definitely been like Tim. I mean, that entire team, they're professionals. They're definitely like the suit and tie going to a blue collar job. If that makes any sense at all to anyone out there, these guys, they play as a team, they live as a team, they die as a team. But I mean, this is gonna
hate Joey Crawford.
They hate. Oh, who doesn't hate Joey Crawford?
He is the worst.
Joey Crawford's wife hates Joey Crawford.
Wouldn't you get to wake up to the next that fucking head every day? It's unbelievable. He is the worst. The worst.
Oh god, like the high stepping.
Oh my god, he's the worst. He is the Skip Bayless of NBA refereeing.
Who? Who's that guy? I don't know that guy. Sounds like some bloke.
If he was out there, I'm sure he'd be a charlatan.
Oh, you know who's worse? Colin Cowherd.
Oh. All right, let's put petty rivalries to the side.
That's rivalries.
All right.
But I mean, speaking of which, I mean, how about Danny Green? Danny Green is, if the series would have ended tonight, statistically would have to be the Finals MVP.
I mean, I guess you can't unless Parker comes out and has a virtuoso Game 6 and carries him. You can't give it to anybody else because no one's been that consistent.
No, Danny Green is
Finals record 25 3-pointers. And he's got at least one game left, at least, and maybe two. He could. I mean, he's already broken it. He could shatter the record. He could make over 33s in an NBA Finals. The record was Ray Allen had 22 when the Celtics beat the Lakers, and that was an incredible performance, and
especially for this guy.
Awesome.
I mean, right now, Danny Green is shooting 68% from three-pointers.
Yeah, that's...
In a finals from a guy who, was a role player in Cleveland during the LeBron days.
Cut in Cleveland.
Cut
by San Antonio twice. D-League. I mean, you've heard the narrative.
Yeah.
D-League, came back, North Carolina guy, and he's just been shooting the lights out. I saw one today, a man who drove in, kicked one out. The guy was right in his face, drilled it from deep. Him and Gary Neal have just both been fantastic from threes. And, the Heat may have the high-flying alley-oops and stuff, but the Spurs are killing them with three-pointers.
Yeah, it all looks good on tape, but until you look at the final score, that's all that really matters. You might make a top 10 play, but, I mean, right now, Danny Green, he has played... I mean, he only has 3 years of experience. He's 24, 25 years old. He is playing his heart out on the biggest stage of them all on a team with Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, playing against a team with Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Ray Allen, LeBron James.
And he's the biggest name right now.
Yeah, right now, that's 7 potential Hall of Famers.
He's outplaying all.
Outplaying all of them.
You know, he's been contributing on the defensive end too. Him and Kawhi. And the thing is,
Yeah.
like the Spurs have a guy. You know how LeBron does everything for the Heat. He passes, he rebounds, everything. The Spurs have a player. They have their 3-point shooters. They have their distributors. They have their defensive specialists. They have their Matt Bonners. You know, and the Spurs are just built so well, and they just run so well, and you can see them. And it's that machine, the Spurs running that well-oiled machine is starting to wear down the Heat sports car, so to speak. This is
it's the turtle versus the rabbit.
Yeah.
Slow and steady will win the race. So speaking of which, speaking of winning the race, what's your prediction?
I mean, I think the Spurs win Game 6 close, maybe overtime. I think I'll say Spurs win Game 6 by 4.
By 4.
4 points. It's close, but I think Spurs win close. Spurs win close.
And Spurs wins close. What do you have LeBron scoring that game? Just ballpark estimate. I mean, it is a Game 6. It 30. Is a score. So he has 30. So he has a big night.
I say I'll say this: LeBron triple double or right up on it.
He takes over, but the Spurs just overwhelm.
It's not good enough. I mean, LeBron. I feel like LeBron could score 50 and he could still lose. And he might score 50, but I feel like LeBron scored about 30. I'll say 27 to 31, somewhere in there. You know, a great night from him. He'll be real efficient. You know, he'll get to the line. He'll get his rebounds. You know, get his assists. But I just, when you have to try to win a game on the backs of Mike Miller, Shane Battier, and Ray Allen,
However, you've seen how deadly Miami is when they click. When their shooters are making shots, it's very hard to beat them because LeBron can drive the lane, which he's been able to do, but with trouble. I mean, they're playing very closely like the Pacers. They're keeping their hands up. You know, they're avoiding dumb fouls. Though, I mean, Danny Green ended tonight with 4 fouls, so he's getting closer. I didn't check Kawhi Leonard's foul total, but I remember in the first couple of games he came very close and he picked up a lot of fouls very quickly.
So that's what you gotta do. If you just get him out of the rhythm in the first quarter when you have fouls to give, if you don't foul out, then what's it matter?
And then, I mean, I have to disagree. I think the big three come out and they have another performance where the trio pops, the shooters make shots, and I'm going to say 12 to 10 point win, but Game 7, Spurs.
It's Spurs in 7.
You're gonna see Tim Duncan play his last game in the NBA as a Finals champion, with probably Danny Green winning the Finals MVP to just everyone's surprise. And I mean, there's a lot of guys who are coming on the Spurs team that are going to leave it all out on the floor. And I mean, I think it would be great for the league right now as far as the storylines we'll see 20 years from now if LeBron gets his first Game 7. Like if LeBron takes over Game 6 and Game 7, he will definitely be closer to finally, eclipse or getting close to the whole Jordan reference, like his comparisons to Jordan. LeBron needs that. I think the league needs a Game 7. They need that dramatic, that back and forth. They need this prize fight to go to 7 games. Maybe not for the Spurs, maybe not for the Heat. Maybe they would. Oh, the Heat definitely wanted to go 7 games. But I mean, I think it would be great for basketball if this goes Game 7 back and forth and it comes down tied 3-3. LeBron versus the Spurs, because that's what it's going to boil down to. It doesn't matter.
Just like it was.
Doesn't matter what Bosh.
Just like his first finals, LeBron versus the Spurs.
Because I mean, no matter how much Dwayne Wade does, this is LeBron's game.
It's LeBron's team.
Yeah, it's his legacy. Because no matter what, if LeBron James and Dwayne Wade played their careers out together, Dwayne Wade will always have that one more championship than him.
That's true.
All right, so moving on.
Speaking of championships, for our other winter sport, reaching your conclusion, one of my personal favorites, the Stanley Cup playoffs. We've had 2 overtime games. There have been more overtimes than games. There have been 4 overtimes in 2 games. The triple OT game in Game 1 was the 5th longest game in Stanley Cup history, and I watched the whole damn thing.
Which is hard to believe because how many? I wonder what the longest hockey game. Who sits through that? Because I've been to a couple of hockey games in my life, but it's cold. It is very cold.
You have to see. If that game could still be going on, I'd be sitting in the exact same spot, seeing who's going to get that tipping goal. It had to be. And, and Tuukka Rask has been incredible.
I mean, you have to say both goaltenders have been phenomenal. You can't.
That's true, but the thing is, if you had, the thing is, Tuukka Rask is keeping the Bruins in the series because the Blackhawks are outplaying them. They outshot them. What was it, 12-4 in the first period yesterday?
Roughly.
And something like that. And then they're outshooting them. You watch it, Boston's offense is very transition based. I rarely see Boston get the puck in the zone, set anything up at all. But meanwhile, you see Chicago, and they're set up the entire time. They're looking, they're dumping, and they're not really, they're not setting up power plays. Which is good because their power play is terrible.
Yeah.
But they're in Boston's zone. Boston's having a hard time clearing the puck, and if there's a lesser goaltender in there, it's 2-0, and the games are 4-1, 3-1, 5-1.
Yes.
And they're killing them.
I mean, speaking as someone who knows goalies, Martin Brodeur, if you're watching this, mad love for you. But I mean, these goaltenders have played phenomenal. Like, obviously, on the stat line, the goalkeepers are their percentages, their saves are very close to each other. However, the Blackhawks, they took game 1, 5 OTs? I personally have no stake in this. Obviously, my team is now drafting 10th in the draft, so obviously I don't have a personal investment in this. But the Bruins, they just play. I feel like emotion plays a lot in the game, and obviously we had that great tragedy in Boston, and I feel like going back to Boston, I can almost see no way that Boston loses 2 more games. I think it's going 3-1 going back to Chicago.
3-1
going
back to Chicago.
Because in hockey, there's really no such thing as home field advantage. These guys are so focused.
You get second change though. That's big.
But Boston, it's hard to argue with any of those sports teams. If you look throughout history, the Red Sox, the Patriots, the Celtics, the Bruins, all play tremendously. It's just that mindset, those people, and they're playing with something so much bigger. Because I like to reference this when I talk about emotion in sports. A few years ago, during the March Madness, USC had one of their he wasn't a starter, but he was he was a big part of the team. He was a role player. He died in I believe it was a car accident, and no one predicted them to get out of the first round. They went three extra rounds, and they did it for their teammate. Like, they played their asses off. And I do believe that the Bruins will do the same thing for that city. Like, emotion, many people are like, emotion does this. Emotion is huge in sports. Look at Brett Favre on the Father's Day game. Michael Jordan. Yeah. I mean, Michael Jordan, obviously, big game almost every night. But, there's career-defining performances, and I believe the Bruins will have a team-defining performance. They will go back to Chicago 3-1.
So what are the Bruins and what if they go back 3-1?
I would like, after the lockout, I think the NHL needs 7 games. They need it. They need the fans to crave. They need the drama.
Ratings have doubled for this so far.
Yeah.
They're like it's big TV markets, Riddle 6 franchise,
But I'm gonna go, and I believe our missing co-host Marshall and his lady Alex will love my pick of Bruins in 7.
So yeah, I went Blackhawks in 6 when the series started, and nothing I've seen on the ice wants to make me change that. To the contrary, the Blackhawks are the better team, but the Bruins have a very good defense and a very good goaltender. And the way they play, they're scrappy. They scrapped out that 2-1 win last night in overtime. And the Blackhawks did start the season on that undefeated streak. And I just can't see them losing 3 games in a row to the Boston Bruins.
So, I mean, if you want to talk winning streaks, look at the Dallas Mavericks a few years ago. They went on that huge, tear. They won 80-something games, I believe, only had 10 losses. Got knocked out of the first round by the Golden State Warriors. Yeah. I'm just saying. But it's times like this in the finals. Yes, it's awesome to look at regular season performances, but this is a whole different puppy.
I feel like the Blackhawks are the better team, and I think Blackhawks win Game 3, Bruins win Game 4, and the Blackhawks win 5 and 6.
it's hard to imagine anyone to walk into Boston and take a win from Boston in this environment.
I feel that, they're going to get all sweet. And, I mean, when they lose to the Blackhawks, who are they going to call? Who are they going to call the N-word,
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg
will find someone.
Yeah, I just feel that the whole Boston sports fan thing is very overrated.
You're overrated. I mean, many
people... They do have very passionate fans, and that would matter if these teams were more equal, but the Blackhawks are just a better team.
I think Big Papi is going to walk through that door and kick you in the head.
Okay, but, I mean, the Blackhawks know what it's like to play in front of a crowd. It's called the Madhouse on Madison. It's probably the best crowd in the NHL. They're insane.
There are no more dedicated fans in sports than Boston fans. As a Celtics fan, he should know.
No, because, all alcoholism is better than your alcoholism.
Which obviously translates, as a Philadelphia fan, that alcohol wins games.
5 greatest acts of all time. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Mark Wahlberg, Casey Affleck, Donnie Wahlberg. Alright, that's what I'm arguing with right now.
All I'm saying is Mark Wahlberg would kick anyone on the Blackhawks' ass right now. Right now. Perhaps. You know why? You ever seen that movie The Fighter with him and Christian Bale? Fantastic movie. You ever seen Shooter? Guy knows how to snipe, at least on camera. Whatever. Moving on.
You ever seen Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch?
All the time. Okay. So you have Blackhawks in 6. I have Bruins in 7 because the NHL needs it. Moving on. Let's move back to the NBA real quick. There's a lot of coaching news going on right now. We have a guy with a pretty nice coaching pedigree. He's coached under Phil Jackson. He was the assistant coach in Indiana during their nice little run. Brian Shaw has no job offers. He's unemployed right now. What?
Yeah, he was right in line to get the Nets job until Jason Kidd decided he sobered up for a little bit and said, "Hey, I want to be an NBA coach."
Oh, that's cold. Misty May Trainer will kick your ass.
And then their maniacal Russian billionaire thought, "Hey, Jay-Z's left me for the agent game. I need another J in my life." Jason Kidd. And
Jason Kidd because he's got no J.
And the thing is, that's a cool move. It gets people talking about the Nets, I guess, which is cool. But they're in Brooklyn. They have a good team. And Darren Williams is a coach killer. That
is true. That's what got him out of Utah. He's gone through how many coaches now?
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much he respects Jason Kidd. If the Nets are playing poorly, he's gonna say, "Shut up."
Yeah.
Jason Kidd just turned 40. And he has no coaching experience. No, none.
Well, I mean, you can argue that.
And they're saying they're going to surround him with these assistants and all this stuff. But if Darren Williams wouldn't care about them as a head coach, why is he going to care about them as an assistant? And I feel that the Nets, if Jason Kidd can guide them to playing well, all more power to him. But I don't see Joe Johnson, Brook Lopez, Chris Humphries, Darren Williams, Joe Wallace. That sounds solid, but I see them doing about what they did this year, a 4 seed, a 5 seed. And then they get to the playoffs, and they just get beat because they're not very deep, and they want to make another big splash, get somebody else. Who else are they going to get? What they should do is cut Joe Johnson. They're paying him too much damn money.
Well, I mean, you have to keep Johnson because who are you going to replace him with? Marshawn Brooks?
Maybe.
No, it's not happening. Joe Johnson needs to, obviously find his consistency, and maybe.
You know what's going to happen? The Nets going to sign J.R. Smith and pay so much money to him. He's going to be so bad. He's going to be so bad. That's pretty much.
I cannot see that happening.
J.R. Smith on the Nets.
If anybody should be unemployed, it's J.R. Smith because that dude, he came up as a gold turkey in the playoffs. He was like, "Oh yeah, Jason Terry, jet."
That's true.
You know what, J.R. Smith? You're terrible. You're terrible at everything you do. He likes you, and that should say enough.
You're a gunner.
Come on now. But I mean, I personally think when I first heard about it, New Jersey born and bred, Jazzy, we don't claim Jersey Shore because that is just terrible. Anyway, the point is it seems like this Jason Kidd move is purely a PR stunt. You know, you have the greatest player in Nets history.
Oh boy, that is sad. Nets fans.
I
Dr.
mean,
J.
no,
Dr. J.
kind of. Doctor.
Yes, he's ABA Nets.
Yes.
He's ABA Nets.
My point is that, you know, it seems like more of a PR stunt. You know, you have like this guy. He was the best player in your franchise. You know, and throughout the league, a lot of people respect him. You know. And I do believe if he surrounds himself like I believe they want to get the former Nets coach Lawrence Frank.
Yeah.
Lawrence Frank, a guy who coached Jason Kidd, who, you know, knows the game very well. I think he just last coached with Detroit. He knows his way around the game, and I do believe if Jason Kidd surrounds himself with the right people, that he can do good things. And I do believe Darren Williams he's gonna finally, this is gonna be a maturing period for him. He's gonna realize that, you know, I can't do it on my own. I have some decent teammates around me. Brook Lopez, you know, everybody underestimated him, but he was probably the most consistent big man. Note my words, consistent big man in the league. Plain and simple. I mean, to be fair, the league is full of up and down, you know, injury-prone big men. However, Brook Lopez, most consistent big man. You got Gerald Wallace, who, you know, might be injury prone, but the dude will give you 100% every time he comes on the court. Joe Johnson, hot and cold. Darren Williams, you know, obviously he seems like a head case, but he is a superstar. And I believe after, you know, tasting the playoffs with what he has, we'll realize that he needs to open an ear. He has to realize that he cannot be the master, the commander, and the soldier. He needs to, you know, pick his battles, and I think he will for the better of the team. He's got his money, you know, he has his roles, you know, he's the star,
Yeah,
hands down.
So, how do you think the Nets do next season? Better or worse? Better or worse than this year?
I'd say
4 seed and a first round playoff exit. Better over under this year.
I'm gonna go 5 to 7 more wins.
No more wins.
I think Joe Johnson has a phenomenal performance. I think everything clicks. You know, there's finally the chemistry between all their players. I think they do 5 wins and maybe going as a 3 seed. Yeah.
I'm saying under because the East is getting better. For example, at the top of the East you have the Heat, and then so we'll take the East right now. Heat 1 seed. They're gonna stay up there. Pacers getting better.
It's Heat, Pacers, Nets for me. Top 3 Heat, Pacers, Nets.
And then you get the Bulls are going to be. The Bulls were so beat up and worn down this year. Even if you forget about Derrick Rose, they'll be back. The Celtics are going to be better. They're not going, and they're in that division. It's Knicks.
I mean,
Nets, Celtics. Okay, and then we're going to talk about the Knicks and the Hawks could get CP3, Dwight Howard, or both. And
I don't deal on maybes. I deal on what's happening right now. What's happening right now is that CP3 is still a Clipper. Dwight Howard is, I guess, a Laker, whatever you want to call them. More like the Quakers?
Mm.
The Quitters? I don't know.
The
Golfers. The Air Forcemen. Pot shot.
I just don't see the Nets. I don't know if maybe they could play just as well, maybe a little better, but I just think they're not moving as fast as the rest of the East. So I think they do worse.
I mean, you look at the Celtics are in turmoil. How can you say they're getting faster? The Knicks, their second best player is Ramon Sessions because Tyson Chandler's just getting a year older. J.R. Smith's the most inconsistent player.
J.R. Smith is free agent. He wants big money. He wants huge money.
You know what? Go over to Europe. Go to Dallas. Go to Houston, where they won't tax you, because I can guarantee any general manager with the right mind will not sign you. I would not sign you, and that does not mean much to anyone. But
you know where he's going. The Hawks are going to miss out on CB3 and Dwight Howard, and they're going to pay J.R. Smith a ton of money. There's going to be one team that's been poorly run for years, and they're going to continue. They're going to send themselves into another 3-year cycle.
Ooh, what the magic!
Not by signing J.R. Smith, but by paying J.R. Smith a lot of money, and they're going to give him a bunch of guaranteed money, a long contract, and he's a solid player. I'd want him on my team. Would I want him for $20 million like he's asking? No.
No, he's a head case.
Absolutely not. I would not want him.
You saw it. You saw it in Denver. You saw it in New York. The guy will give you 30 every, maybe 2 times a month. Maybe. He will consistently, maybe put up 10 to 15. Like if his career average will probably end up being like a Manu Ginobili 15 to 12, like somewhere in that range.
So would you not want a Manu Ginobili talent on your team?
I would.
You think his intangibles outweigh his
no, no. He has his the only intangibles he has is he can get on a hot streak. Anything else I guarantee he could be, if you pay him that money to make him your star player, he will destroy everything. He'll be a Carmelo Light, except he's not going to be able to knock the shots down that Carmelo makes. Carmelo will consistently put in buckets. However, J.R. Smith will put in buckets not as much.
But when he does, he puts them in. You got it. And I think
maybe if you want to win like 5 games a year,
I'd like him on my team personally.
For $20 million?
Not for $20 million. I said I'd like him on my team, but not for that contract.
Exactly, and that's what he wants. He's a head case.
Well, I mean, I want a lot of things. That doesn't mean I'm going to get them. I'd love for a new BMW to be outside for me. I want that to happen, but that's not going to happen.
You don't even have a license. What purpose would a new... Yeah,
it doesn't...
Personal lives brought into this. That's how serious it gets. He smells funny.
You want a lot of things. You don't always get them. It doesn't hurt to ask for them.
So, I mean, speaking of which...
Next topic.
It's the Celtics. Seems like they're asking for a lot.
Yep. As you may have heard, the Celtics coach, Doc Rivers, has been quoted saying it's time for a change, whether that's due to his just doesn't want to coach Boston. He's a little restless. He wants to... the Big Three era is ending, and he was the coach of the Big Three. Maybe he just wants to move on. Maybe he wants to watch his son, Austin, play at Duke. Or not Duke, New Orleans.
Yeah, he's going to be a Pelican.
Yeah. Great name, by the way. Love the Pelican name.
I don't know what sound a Pelican makes.
Love the Pelican name. Anyway, and I just think he's tired of Boston. He's a Rolling Stone. He's done what he had to do there. He's won them one championship. He's won them 2 conference finals. And he's done a lot with the team that a lot of people said you couldn't do a lot with. Every year, like last year, the Celtics were old. They were done. And they pushed Miami to the brink. And anyway, he's saying that he might want to move to greener pastures in L.A. And the Celtics have refused to let the Clippers or the Nets talk to him. Obviously, they don't want your coach leaving. But they are negotiating the rights to sign Doc Rivers and future Hall of Famer Kevin Garnett. Their package deal, Doc Rivers, Kevin Garnett to the Clippers, and what the Celtics want is DeAndre Jordan, big man. They want a future first round pick,
and Eric Bledsoe,
and that's the problem. The Clippers are fine with Jordan and the first round pick. Eric Bledsoe is where the debate is.
I wouldn't say they're fine with the first round pick. I mean, I think
they're willing to accept the deal.
Yeah.
But the thing is with the Clippers is the reason this is a big holdup is because they also want to keep Chris Paul around, and they don't want to trade Eric Bledsoe over to the Celtics, and then Chris Paul says, "Peace, I'm going to, any of the other 29 teams," and the Clippers then have no point guards. And so what they're trying to do is what the Clippers ideally would like to do is figure out where Chris Paul is going. If Chris Paul is staying, they'd love to make the deal. But at the same time, the Clippers want to nail down a head coach in the next few days so he can help Chris Paul stay. It's all based around Chris Paul. And instead, they don't have this deal done for Doc by Tuesday or Wednesday. They're just going to say forget it.
I mean, if you're Chris Paul, you see them trading away a 26-year-old 7-footer for a 38-year-old way past his prime Hall of Famer Kevin Garnett,
Doc Rivers.
And I mean, Doc Rivers is the key part. But if you're trading away a future first-round pick, which is someone who could possibly come, obviously Chris Paul in his mind doesn't want the Clippers to draft anywhere from 1 to 26. Obviously, they've made a deep run in his mind. So obviously the first round pick, not a huge deal in Chris Paul's mind. I'm trying to look at it from Chris Paul's perspective. All right, so what you're doing is you're giving me Doc Rivers, a guy who's coached one championship team, a guy who's coached 4 or 5 playoff teams
every year,
who dealt with a huge rebuilding phase in Boston, where they went on a playoff-less streak for how long?
It was most of Paul Pierce's career.
Yes, most of Paul Pierce's career until they got the big three. They finally got all the pieces. They moved it.
First year.
And I'm not going to go on my conspiracy theory how the original not the original big three, because obviously San Antonio did it right by drafting and signing. However, I'm not going to get my conspiracy theory on how the big three came apart. It's ridiculous. You're ridiculous. My point is that I feel like Doc Rivers owes it more to Boston as an organization and as a figure in that community to let Danny Ainge and the Boston management decide, because they didn't give up on him when they were going through that rebuilding phase. They could have easily went with any other coach, but they gave him the future of the franchise. They got him Rayon, they got him Kevin Garnett, and they said go with it. They made the smart trade to Phoenix to get Rondo, the Reds to have Rajon Rondo, who's been phenomenal. A lot of people don't realize that Boston went as far as they did without him, because again, another quiet player. Because Rondo, you really don't hear much about in the media. But there's also that rumor that him and Doc Rivers are bumping heads, which, I mean, it happens a lot more in the NBA.
And Rondo, the thing, it's just a style. It's a style thing and it's a player thing. Rondo wants to push. He plays at top speed. He's a very transition point guard. He wants to push. And the thing is, the Celtics don't. Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, they're not going to be hauling up and down the court they're young. But Doc Rivers is having this thing where he's trying to build the team around Rajon Rondo, but also placate those two stars. Which is why I think if the Celtics can get good value for Doc and KG, and you gotta make the deal. DeAndre Jordan will be great. Then all of a sudden you revitalize your whole front court, because then you have DeAndre Jordan, Brandon Bass, Jared Sullinger. It's a very good three-man rotation in the front court. And then at the guard, you have Rondo, Avery Bradley, Jeff Green. That's a solid. I think also you have to deal Paul Pierce or buy him out. I think the Celtics will probably buy him out. Because he owed $15 million next year, and as great as he is, $15 million for Paul Pierce at this point, it's not. Maybe they buy him out and they resign him at a lower deal. That's fine, but they got to free up that money. I think OJ Mayo's coming up for free agency. There's some guys coming free agency that you just got to try to get.
The OJ Mayo proved how much he was worth in Dallas this year. He had a couple of big games. He was consistent around 17 to 22 points.
Great player, underrated player. I want the Celtics to get him last year.
But my thing is,
listen to me? No.
Well, look at how stacked you want this front court. Do you want Rondo, Bledsoe, Bradley, and Mayo? In that hypothetical situation,
Mayo would play the three though.
I wouldn't. Not with Jeff Green. You don't. If you have Jeff Green, you're not playing Mayo at the three.
So you play Mayo at the two. So you go Rondo, Mayo,
Green, Bass, Jordan.
I mean, I feel
and even then, Bass is getting up there. He's going to be 31. I mean, again, this isn't old, but it's old, and especially since Brandon Bass isn't.
Well, maybe this is just the first of many deals. They bring Bledsoe in. I think about this. They bring Bledsoe in. Is this a signal for a Rondo move?
Well, if they bring Bledsoe in, I feel like Bledsoe is purely a trade guard. The guy, he has talent, but he's not proven yet. I feel like he has the potential, and a lot of teams are looking at that. There's also talks about the Clippers trying to move Bledsoe for Afflalo one-on-one. Afflalo is a great shooter, and when he catches fire.
Dumb trade by the Clippers if they do that.
Yeah, but you're surrounding CP3 with the talent he wants.
Yeah, that's definitely a trade. You get a worse player, but he fits better with the system, and that's what the Thunder did with Harden.
No, they didn't want to go over the luxury. If I'm the Thunder GM, if I'm the Thunder owner, I'm absolutely going into the tax. I will pay extra money on taxes every year to have Harden on that team, because Harden handles the ball more than Westbrook did. When Westbrook went down, Harden's still there to run the point. Ibaka can't be a 2 option. He has to be a 3. You have to have Durant as your 1, Westbrook, Harden as your 2, 3. Harden has to be the number 4. That's just how it works.
And I think Bill Simmons said it pretty well. Never trade $1 for 4 quarters, meaning never try to get. So you have one player, never try to just be like, we'll get 2 players to do that one player's job, because this is what happens. And the Thunder, they still did pretty well. Kevin Garnett almost willed them to victory.
Almost.
He's an incredible player, and the thing is, and he's still so young.
He's 23, I believe.
Yeah, I mean he's a rookie when he played his freshman year of college. So he came in the league 1920, 19 or 20, and he's a fantastic player. But once Westbrook went down, of course, because the Thunder offensively don't have any other weapons other than Durant, and when Westbrook went down, especially the Grizzlies had that defense just keyed
the
on
top scoring tandem in the league, and the Grizzlies were nitty gritty on defense.
Yeah, no Westbrook. Of course you're not going to win. Eric Maynard, he's good, but he's not Russell Westbrook.
He's definitely a bench player.
He's not. I mean, he could run the point for plenty of teams, but when the point guard's expected to score as much as Westbrook does, Eric Maynard is not a scoring point guard.
Though in the NBA, a point guard is a very valuable position. Look at many teams. How many teams have that guy as their point guard? You got Derrick Rose, you got CP3, you got Kyrie Irving, you got John Wall, Rondo. See, that's right there. That's one of those experiences. Rondo is good for what people like. Right there, he was my fifth player because he set him. Simple as that. Rondo is a guy we don't talk about, and we need to talk about more. The guy he could average a triple-double every night if you set the right pieces around him.
I think he's second best. If he's not the best, he's the second best point guard in the game. The one-two is Chris Paul, Rajon Rondo, and I feel like no one's even close after that.
I mean, I would have to see.
Kyrie will be there soon. To be fair, Kyrie will be there soon. He's an incredible player.
But even then, like I before I say that, I want to see how Derrick Rose comes back. You give me 2 months of seeing how Derrick Rose plays with that Bulls team, and I mean, they say that even like going back to the NFL for a second, Adrian Peterson, apparently after you tear your ACL, year number 2 is when you have that monster season. Apparently, that's when you come back in 100%. Period. So, I mean, even looking at Derrick Rose this season, maybe it's not all what it's cracked up to be. Maybe next year is when Derrick Rose is finally going to emerge as that guy. Like, obviously, he's already got an MVP under his belt. But, I mean, right now you have to put CP3, Rose, and Rondo. Those, like, to me, that's 1A, B, and C. Like, obviously, you have to see how Rose comes back, how Rondo comes back. Like, who knows if Rondo will have the same explosion.
They both had ACL injuries. Although Rondo's not as bad, but still bad.
Yeah.
And I remember that game right after it happened. They were playing the Heat and said Rondo's not playing, knee discomfort. Originally, like, okay, I guess he just missed the start. And then the tweets started coming through the room saying it was torn ACL. And the Celtics didn't know. They were just playing hard without him. They still managed to win. They won the game. And they go, and then I remember Doris Burke asked Paul Pierce, like, what's it feel like to lose Rondo for the season? And no. And you could just see what it was like on his face. And they know, and the Celtics fans know, and I think NBA guys know. Everyone's like, oh, no, the Celtics, they did. They played better without Rondo to start. And then they just had a sharp drop-off. And it's clear they can't win without him. He's incredibly valuable to the team. And I think that Rose and CP3 are in the same discussion for like those incredible players that you just need on your team.
Yeah.
And I think Westbrook is right up there too. Clearly they need him on the team, and that's why. And Durant, and I think maybe if Westbrook goes down middle of the year, end of the year with this knee injury, the Thunder would have gone farther because they would have adjusted better. But then you throw them right in the fire.
Especially against the Grizzlies.
Yeah, best of 7 series against one of the best defensive teams in the league. And you're just like, okay, Durant, you gotta figure this out. First, they had to deal with the Rockets, who are pesky enough. And then you go right from the Rockets, and then you go right in the Grizzlies, who spend, just picking you apart on film. And then they shredded them.
Yeah.
And, like, you watch Durant, and he would just take the ball every time. I think he was playing like 45 minutes a game.
Yeah, he was playing Jordan ball.
Yeah.
He was playing Jordan ball. And, I mean, Kevin Durant is hands down my favorite player in the league. I love KD.
Do love Kevin.
KD, 35. He's humble, he's funny, and he's a damn good player, and he's a damn good person.
Best scorer in the NBA.
Oh, absolutely.
Best scorer.
Carmelo who? Carmelo who?
Best pure. LeBron's the best player, but if this was make it, take it, I'd take Durant.
Oh, absolutely.
He's just the best pure scorer in the league.
And, like, he still has time to grow. Right now, he's going through his LeBron and Cleveland days. And
a better team.
Like he's gonna get stronger. He's gonna get more muscle on him. He's gonna get better. He's gonna get better, and that's scary because he's only 23 years old. He's a 3-time scoring champion. The dude, he's a monster, and he's not even in his prime yet. I want you to understand how terrifying that is from an athletic perspective. But the thing is with the Thunder is that their team is built around having Westbrook and Durant. It's not built around just having Durant. That team would be so much different. You would have more facilitators. You would probably have better rebounders.
Better shooters.
Yeah. And Kendrick Perkins, I guarantee, if this team was built around Kevin Durant, would not be the big man. Because Kendrick Perkins, he does give that meanness. And you've seen that a lot this year with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant got his, he got his first technical this year.
The whole Thunder just got a little meaner this year, I guess. Yeah.
And
they wanted that toughness. I don't know if that's just...
And they needed that after they lost the finals against the Heat because they were too soft. Too soft, hands down. And they need that mean streak, but this team is built around having Westbrook and Durant, and that's just how it is. But going back to our original point of the Celtics, trading, I cannot see the Clippers giving up that much just for a coach.
I'd be fine with DeAndre joining the first round pick and then another role player. Because Bledsoe, I feel like he's just going to rot on the Celtics because Rondo is there. He's not taking his spot. And he's too good to be a backup.
I feel like if I'm the if I'm the Clippers, I'm taking Brian Shaw, who is Phil Jackson light, as I've said many times on the show tonight, of insert name light. He's obviously not had a chance to prove it. He is a head coach of the quality of Phil Jackson, what he was Phil Jackson's apprentice. Let's use that word, little Jedi Knight. That's automatically going to click in Dwight Howard's brain. This is talking about Dwight Howard move now. Is that you keep DeAndre, you keep Dwight, you send Blake Griffin and Eric Bledsoe down the line to
the Lakers.
You bring Dwight over. Obviously, Dwight has more of a triangle offense. Hell, you have two guys down there, DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard.
Yeah. And CP3 wants to play Dwight Howard. Yeah. They're talking about it from their own big two.
Not only that.
Which is a damn good big two.
Right?
Good Lord.
And then you have, you have like a rotation of a 2 and a 3 and your small forward and your shooting guard. It's almost incredible to imagine the triangle offense with 2 7-footers and CP3, Chris Paul,
and Nat Barnes.
So hood. All right.
Okay, well, that's enough basketball talk for the day. Now we're going to get on to something everybody can enjoy. Team USA.
USA.
The U.S. men's soccer team sits atop their group in the CONCACAF qualifying for the World Cup with 10 points through 5 games. Second place is Costa Rica with 8 points through 5 games. And our neighbor to the south, Mexico, sits at 8 points with 6 games played.
Mexico.
And those top 3 teams will all qualify. If it ended today, those top 3 teams will qualify for the World Cup. And the 4th place team, which is Honduras, would go and play home with New Zealand, the Oceania champ. Now, obviously, the USA wants to finish in the top 3 or win the group as they've done in the past 2 rounds. I believe the 2 cycles, and they want to seal their ticket to Brazil without any problems. And there's 3 games in this month of June. The first game, the United States played Jamaica in Jamaica. They got it 1-0 on a Josie Altidore goal, who's been fantastic recently. My favorite player, Josie.
He's got a jersey. Hashtag Josie.
And then the USA showed their weakness yet again on a set piece. One of the guys missed their mark, and the guy ran in unmarked. They caught Tim Howard flat-footed and put it home with the header. And it looked like USA was going to drop 2 points on the road, something that they've struggled with. And this is why they brought Klinsmann in to start beating those inferior opponents. And we were lucky Brad Evans came and took a Michael Bradley pass and finished it in stoppage time to give us the 2-1 win and those 3 points, which were huge. And now, hypothetically, say we tie that game, now we're tied with Costa Rica and Mexico on points. And, those 2 points are looking better and better every day. And we played Panama in Seattle in that excellent atmosphere. And we dominated them. It was one of the best performances I've ever seen by Team USA. They didn't, usually some of our center backs look a little pressured by the speedier forwards. Yes. But Panama had those, and USA was able to deal with it, bend but not break. And the offense looked fantastic. The Josie Altidore goal was great. And then the Eddie Johnson goal that started by Jeff Cameron in center midfield was amazing. And, the USA plays this Tuesday on the 18th against Honduras, a team they lost to in the first World Cup qualifying game in Honduras. Play them in Utah, and this is a huge game for the United States. They could basically, because Honduras is sitting there right now with 6 or 7 points.
Yeah,
USA,
they're in fourth place.
Yeah, the USA separates. They put 13 for the USA. They win this game, and that means they put 7 or 6 points, at least 6, maybe I can't remember, 6 or 7 points ahead of them, and that playoff zone where you want to avoid.
I mean, right now, the USA is on top, and right now they have a 2-point differential between Mexico and Costa Rica.
And we have the goal differential by 1
Yeah.
in Costa Rica.
And my thing is this is standard USA lose ball. This is the fourth place team who has the back against the wall. USA is sitting high and mighty on top. This is what, like Ned said, Klinsmann was brought in for.
Yeah. This is what we're supposed to go in there. We win this game. What we do is we take care of business. Something that Bob Bradley's teams, Bruce Maria's teams have struggled with.
Yes.
In the past, was playing. So we can obviously we've beaten Spain. We can play with the big boys.
We beat Mexico in Mexico.
Yeah,
which is something almost damn near impossible to do.
First time we've done it in a while, and then in the qualifier we tied them 0-0.
Yes,
at home, which was a big deal at the time, and now the more 0-0 draws they get, the less impressive looks. Regardless,
my thing is, you look back February, I believe it was February 6th, Honduras beat us 2-1.
Yeah,
Dempsey scored our only goal in the 46th minute. After that, it was all Honduras. Right now, Honduras, fourth place, as I mentioned before, USA on top of the standings. This is the typical trap game for the USA.
They have to win.
Yes, for us, we have to win. Like, if we lose, it's not a terrible deal. We'll drop to 2-3. We'll still qualify. But we need to win this game for a mental set. And also, a thing I want to point out is Landon Donovan is not on this roster for the World Cup qualifier.
World Cup hero, Landon Donovan.
Yes, World Cup hero. National hero, savior of any hopes and dreams the USA have of a World Cup. But my thing is are we finally seeing shades of what Altidore has been, who he could be? Like
what he is in Europe. He had set an American record, 32 goals for his Dutch side, and he never really showed that form with the United States.
No.
And then a friendly versus Germany, service from Graham Zusi, fantastic volley, finished it. Game against Jamaica, Graham Zusi again, service, finished it. And then against Panama, another one right there. And then he slided home, far post, and he did a fantastic job. And this is what USA needs. And he's playing well in his role. He's holding the ball up. He's letting the offense develop around him. And it's showing the USA is doing a little bit better in possession. They get better chances. And that's going to, A, it's going to translate to goals. And B, the more time we're on offense, it's obvious the more time we're on offense, the less time we're on defense. And that's what the team needs. And I feel that needs to be replicated against Honduras. So, Rob, what's your prediction?
I mean, right now I'm looking at it, and I'm so worried Honduras is gonna, sneak in the back door. It wouldn't surprise me if Honduras won, because this is like I said, a trap game for the USA. But I bleed red, white, and blue, mostly red, but sometimes white, and then occasionally blue. I gotta go USA. Probably 1-0.
I think who gets the goal?
I gotta go. I mean, I wish Altidore would get it, but I feel like it's going to be a Clint Dempsey, who's been just fantastic, 7 goals through 11 games. He's probably going to get a rebound off an Altidore shot. Our defense worries me so much. Like, it's just we're never consistent in our back four. Tim Howard plays phenomenally. The man is an underrated goalkeeper.
Yes, be careful. He's got a yellow card too from last game. He's got to be careful.
He'll be fine. Like he's a professional. He might have what is that? Tourette's. He might have Tourette's, but he's not getting another card, and I can guarantee that right now, unless things get sour. But it's probably gonna be Dempsey scoring the
1-0.
1-0 Dempsey. But I mean, there's something I want to personally shoot out there. A man who's tweeted at me, Hercules Gomez, my favorite USA player. You get better, and you get us to that World Cup championship. All right, you, Landon Donovan, Clint Dempsey, Josie Altidore, Brad Guzman, Michael Bradley Jr. You get it for us.
I think that the USA. Utah will be a home game. I think they win. And I think they win I mean, I'll say they win 3-1.
How about 56-0? Who wouldn't love to see that?
I say the USA wins 3-1. I say they get up 2-0. Honduras gets another one to kind of put the pressure on, and then Honduras starts pushing. USA beats on the counter. I say Josie will have one. Dempsey will have one, and somebody like maybe a DeMarcus Beasley.
Ooh, like a defender coming up, knocking.
Finishing a corner.
I would love to see Bradley have a fantastic game because a lot of people have questioned his play since his father left.
I think that's completely ridiculous. But Michael Bradley has been the linchpin of success, as you can see. We basically played the same when we played Belgium a few weeks ago. Michael Bradley wasn't there because he was playing with Roma, and the team went flat, listless, and then got spanked. You put Bradley in the lineup for these past 3 games, and it's a different. He's the engine. And now with Jeff Cameron if Jeff Cameron stays in the middle, it depends on Jermaine Jones' concussion stats and what Clemson wants to do. The U.S. now, the middle of the field for the United States is fast becoming a strength.
Yes, it's been a process, but you add Landon Donovan to that mix, and like I said earlier, he's been left out of it. He is the captain. He's not the captain.
Dempsey now. Yeah. Do you think if Zusi continues to play the way he does Landon Donovan unseat him at right mid, where his natural position, or does he have to move over to left? Because right now you can't justify sitting Zusi for anybody right now.
I think you're gonna move Zusi over to left, and you're gonna keep Landon Donovan. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna keep Landon Donovan where he is. You're gonna hope that you're the hot hand, or I guess in this case the hot foot, will be able to manage, but you cannot. I feel like it's one of those things you'll sort out on the way there. You'll see if Donovan would fit better at left or right, or maybe you have them both playing at the same time. Maybe one's coming off as a sub. Because I could see Donovan at his age. Yes, he has done great things for the U.S. Could be a fantastic super sub. If someone having an off game in the midfield, you bring him in, energizing it, and going back onto Michael Bradley. Michael Bradley is probably the only USA guy who can go from one pitch to the other without being tired. He is just
goes all day.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Goes hard in the paint, hard in the MFN paint.
And I think the USA wins comfortably, and then pretty much seals himself with 4 games left as going to Brazil.
I really hope so. I mean, obviously, we both love USA soccer. Like, I want them. Yeah,
that's American Outlaws right there.
This is the tuxedo T-shirt.
Well, and I think that I've watched the U.S. soccer play for a few World Cups, and I've had excitement in 2002, disappointment in 2006, and elation in 2010 with Landon Donovan's goal, which was...
We had a fantastic time until my dog ran out. That was not...
Definitely the pinnacle of the U.S. soccer experience. And the thing was, in 2010, they lost the next round to Ghana.
Yes.
And in 2016, they make it out of the group. 2002, they beat Mexico in the round of 16, and they lost to Germany.
Also, Robert Green, suck it hard, suck it long.
So... And the growth of U.S. soccer, and they won the group in 2010. And I think depending on the group, in 2014 they could win the group again, make the round of 16. And I could see, maybe not a World Cup championship, but I could definitely see the U.S., depending on the draw, they could bounce their way into a semifinal. Or maybe a third place game. It'd be incredible for the game.
Now, speaking of which, we had a fantastic time during the World Cup last year, and we have it coming up this year. How many, other than Donovan, obviously, how sound is our squad right now? Or seeing what you've seen, because you've watched more of the qualifier than I have, Mm-hmm. But how would you grade us performing right now on the education scale, A through F?
I think the progress we've made since the last World Cup is definitely noticeable. Mm-hmm. And under Klinsmann, I think that's also very good. And I think also we're blessed with an incredible talent of players. We have some of the best players in U.S. soccer history on the team right now.
That's
Tim Howard, Michael Bradley, Clint Dempsey, Josie Altor, and that speaks Graham Zusi. And a lot of these guys are coming, like Graham Zusi, who's our outside man right now, Omar Gonzalez, Matt Beasler. A lot of our guys are either coming from our NCAA programs or MLS, and the fact that we're producing these great players and the national team's getting better shows the growth of soccer in the country and shows like what's still to come. And I feel that, and we're on top of the group in qualifying, which after that 2-1 loss in Honduras, a lot of people, including myself, kind of questioned. And the fact that we're on top now shows a lot about the team. I think there's a lot to be optimistic for 2014. And I'll go on record saying right now, USA wins the CONCACAF qualifying group again, just like they did in the 2010 cycle. And I'll say they easily get out of the group, and I say they make it to the quarterfinals of 2014.
All I'm saying is World Cup 2014, USA champions. Maybe I'm being a little optimistic, maybe I'm being a little too patriotic, but the fact remains Herculez Gomez is the man, and he will come back from this injury better than anyone else. I love you, man. And also, I want to point out Joshua Gatt, a great young player, another guy who's
mixed disarmed,
yes,
as well.
Plus, he's just got that edge of arrogance, and I love it. And he's a man of men, and he's a champion of men. Yes, and
we're doing a great job with the U20s, seeing how many of the. It'll also be interesting to see for the 2014 cycle, see if any of the young guys, the U20s, like Josh Gatt, mixed disarmed, see how they play into the 2014 squad. Maybe Clemson brings them on to the roster. Maybe they don't dress, we don't see any action, but maybe they get to spend some time with the team, get the World Cup experience.
That's very true.
Which, it can't be undervalued.
No, they cannot. So I guess this is time to wrap it up. We're going to leave you with a wonderful bit of footage. Ned and myself will be taking the Roy Hibbert challenge, but wait, there's more. Instead of the 20-ounce Gatorade, we're going to take it a step up, go to the finals, unlike Roy Hibbert did.
Full court,
32 ounces? 32 ounces Gatorade.
Now, if you're unaware, the Roy Hibbert challenge was performed. Roy Hibbert went on Sports Nation, the ESPN2 show, to see how fast he could chug an ice-cold Gatorade, 20-ounce Gatorade, fruit punch, from start to finish. And it was called the Roy Hibbert Challenge. And since Roy Hibbert has been called a smaller Datique Mutombo, we're going to do the Datique Mutombo Challenge with these glacier cherries. And we are going to time ourselves, and we're going to see how long this takes. Robert, could you get out the timer?
I would love to get out the timer. Just give me 1 second.
Roy Hibbert did it in 6 seconds with 20 ounces, which means we should be doing it in about 10.
I might add that he did 6 seconds during one of the timeouts in the game. Give me a second. My phone's obviously not working. But he did. I was watching Sports Nation a couple of days ago, and he did a 20-ounce Gatorade in 4 seconds. And I'm a little inebriated right now, and so we'll see how this goes.
It's definitely an interesting experience. It's been sweeping the nation. Some guys in my school did it. The admissions guys. One guy did the 20 ounces in 9 seconds, and someone struggled through it.
Hashtag Hampton Sydney.
Yeah, Hampton Sydney College. So it seems like it's a fun thing to do, and I feel like it's a good way to cap off our first broadcast.
Okay, we're having a little technical difficulties with the phone, but right down here, you guys can't see it, but we have a nice little timer, so obviously 6 seconds, count your Mississippis, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3, but we're going to try our hardest. So
okay.
We're going to uncap these bad boys. Obviously, you can tell from what color it is what we love.
Glacier Cherry Gatorade.
A little cheers.
We'll start. We're going to start in 5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
It's so cold.
Oh my god, it's
so cold.
Oh, it's in my nose. Oh god. Oh god, this is.
Go, you gotta finish.
Oh. Sweet Mary Joseph, Jesus.
No, sorry, come on. I believe in you. All right. 40 seconds.
Oh, God, that hurts so bad.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for listening. Hopefully you made it this far. There should be close-up of the show on our Facebook page, on our Twitter page.
Oh, now my phone works.
Now it does. On YouTube, maybe I'll just hand you a weird blank CD copy that also has a Radiohead album on it. Maybe, you never know. So, From Rob Brown's Kitchen, this is Ned Belleville
Dr. Rob.
signing off.